Okay, I just want to go through the supply and demand stuff where the market has the threshold it gets to. It's that big breakout, and then it rips back, and it goes the other way, and it really stop hunts anybody that was running too tight a stop at the bottom because you kept seeing this killer bottom in the 4 hour dollar yen. So to step in there or just to lay some 20 pips of track in here to pick up something, if you were to get it in a mass exit here, so imagine you get in a hard exit with a soft entrance here, and you got to keep flipping the inventory back and forth. So none of that exists right now, and now it's going to be about are you going to catch a baby falling knife? Because not every falling knife is huge, and especially if you're trying to buy a trend, you want a gentle pullback. You don't want it ripping back because then you're just in a fucking range again. If you're not counting on the rangeness of it, then you're probably doing something like this and saying, well, I'm going to sell here because we're touching this. That's a good enough reason for anybody, right? Third touch, sell. It's a classic 4-hour chart. It's 4-hour chart. Did you hit it here? You also could have been the guy that has sell limits stacked up on these rooftops because realizes that that wedge is a serious, this is probably some ICT breaker block shit going on here, right? Once they scoop that, and don't forget, everybody's bullish, right? Like this is when No Nonsense is pulling the trigger. Yep, it's confirmation. Don't forget, our MACD is crossed over and it's starting to turn up. And I think when he means let your indicators catch up, like wait for it to get a little oversold here, maybe buy here. Don't get all excited. Maybe this is where I should buy. Yeah, that's where Jimmy Bob's got his stops in here. Does he? Look at this one. Stop hunt the bears for one last crush. Doesn't quite make it. Meanwhile, people are going, holy shit, look at this fucking 8-pip window of doom. It just can't get the party started on the south side. Uh-oh. Then just in classic timing of the market. So somebody asked about at the end of the session, in a counter trend system, obviously, at the end of the session, you are going, no, you're wrong. It's going the other way. So you're oscillating. Without an oscillator below you, you don't need an oscillator to tell you the market's down, do you? I mean, any oscillator that's set to any kind of fast setting is going to be down. Also, you have the structure issues here where this bottom in time becomes this top pivot, and it's like, oh, is it going to break out? Is it going to keep going? And, this is also the apex of this triangle. So there's so much going on right here. You could just talk all day about this chart alone, but it's about, do you have a trade plan for a small bar or a wide bar? Are you going to be pulling the trigger when it's down? I can tell you every trade on the chart, a child could tell you, if you bought every line here, right down, it doesn't have to go up. In other words, you'd literally be buying here, 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 and here. You are long 4K. Well, why does the market turn around here? Because there's people that bought there just like me. They buy if it's on sale, okay? Then it comes ripping back, and this is why you see this spike here is where they're going to get out, and they're going to take their profits. This is break even, for them. They're like, dude, that's a 0 loss, 0 win. Yeah, that's why the market turns around there. Is this a real surprise to people? That this wedge of inventory vac that's on a wedge, it's not this. You see, once it finally made it into this shelf here, this is a completely different shape than this. I'm just talking about the depth and history of that stairway and the robots that run trailing stops on this looking to trade the bigger wave to here, and maybe they do cash out. Their targets are met as soon as new lows are hit. There are people that are buying here. Somebody must be buying here. I'm sorry, but somebody's buying in a 12-pip window to make 30 or 40 pips. And they're going to trade it rack to rack. They're going to trade low to high, right? But if you're waiting for your indicators to catch up, there's no fucking way. Like, if you know this is a bottom, right? How do you know that's a bottom? Because it went up here. Why don't you have a buy order here? Well, what if it keeps going down? Well, fucking what if it does, dude? Run a goddamn 20 pip stop. I don't get this whole thing about why you just can't buy low and sell high. Like, you'd be selling right now and you'd be selling, right? And if you're blind to this vacuum here that's being gobbled up, okay, that's where you just can't blindly, okay, maybe you're getting out of your longs here. In other words, if you're going to balance your books, you're going to sell here, sell. And why there's so many people there? Because don't forget, there's people that bought here that were never, well, I guess we did make it back to, we were above that. So there is a guy that bought here and he held it. And when it got up here, he sold too. That's why this is such an intense sell. You kind of have to picture everybody that would be in the break-even trades and the winning trades, and then when it starts to go insaneville towards this area here, and it just starts shearing up, and people are like, holy shit, you mean to tell me everything below here was kind of like CNN news? And you got this double bottom becoming this flat bottom. I mean, this is a serious... Just trading this alone is a fucking easy goddamn trade. You just have your fucking orders in this because you can see this hole. I hope you can see that hole. You can see the hole that's done filling. Now, you would be putting buy limits if you were a bull. You just trail them in like this. You don't know if they're going to fill them, and then maybe you're under trading. So, and maybe you get in 5 standard lots on every handle here with a master stop here, and then it just does crush down and blow you up. But you can see that if you really wanted to, you just have to spend the time and lay these tickets in is the problem. See, you'd have to say, well, am I going to hit a button to do that? And is there enough money in the account? And how often should I do that? Well, I mean, in this instance, it'd be a perfect fit, but on another currency pair, you might blow up the account, right? So this has got to drop 30 pips in the next 4 hours. It's not going to happen. If you have a buy limits here coming into Asia now, and Wednesday's over, so we've done hunting the stops, you're always going to see the climax. A lot of these climaxes are on Wednesday to the up or down side, and you saw the same climax in the dollar CAD. It just went fucking nuts in that window. 30 pip scalp, 40 pip scalp. Obvious, and it's very quick and dirty. Just like we knew it would be. We knew it would be just brutal, Look at the top in this thing on the 1 hour. I marked off the holes that we filled on the top side. So the initial scalp, or the people that were eager to sell, started selling right there. But I said this pullback here before the final punch, and then it's like going into the buy zone now. It's kind of teetering. If you're looking at the dailies, another thing is consider the daily chart, which is kind of marked off as the true traps, this is the lonely wick. And anybody that's sold above there and above, they're underwater on this one particular ticket. But the guy that sold this one, which was the standout Williams fractal, this is the middle finger or whatever, this right here. So that guy's up on the trade. That's pretty good trade. So this spike window, which was vicious here on the 4 hour, there's not even, you got about, in that window up there, what is that? Like if you zoom out, you can kind of see the spike here. See how quickly you were filled, and maybe you got slippage on that. I don't know. But look, it actually retests that. So maybe this was the news, and then it actually goes up there. This is another big problem with trading is that this spread probably did get wide here, and then it tightened up, and then it kind of actually went up for a real, like sellable sale, you know? I mean, but of course, there must have been huge, I don't know, spread there or something. That doesn't look like right data, but look at this first attempt here, and this was the first kind of trying to get the party started. And that guy made money because if you didn't get out of this plunge, so you're trading the spike at the top here, then he basically gave it all back because this is when the top became a bottom on the 15. So in context, this psycho action, which is vicious, we knew it would be up there because a lot of freewheeling, you know, there's nothing to latch onto price-wise. So it's just out in madness land, and it finally comes back to this internal double top. This is considered to be the table that it's trapped under, right? And then it comes above it, and it actually makes it. I gotta fix this. I gotta stretch this out. So it actually makes it in time on the 15, which is about as thin as you can slice it. Honestly, this top becomes a bottom in time. It does wick below, and this is where so-called stop hunters are hard stopping somebody out. But you could also have a goober bot running a trailing buy stop here. Cancel replace every 15, right? And what happens here is the robot needs to start with a 1K, 2K, 3K, 4K. It's going to martingale stop in. In other words, the tickets need to get bigger here. Because this is a high probability scalp back to something before it does this trap, right? So in the 15-minute world, it's trapping in this little mini vac, and here's your wedge, right? So trap, and then the news comes out. Maybe the spread on here goes psychotic on this broker, which I can imagine it probably does, because this is pretty much what people call bucket shop. I don't think this is Citibank's. Of course, all the spreads could have gone bonkers there. Who knows? It's funny that it walks back down. All the people that perceive this as a trend are like, what do you mean trend trading doesn't work? How dare you? Or look at this beautiful trend. We bought here on the pullback. Well, first we got it, broke out, came back, confirmation, we got in. Yeah. Obviously there's that trade. You can see it. I mean, if you're a confirmation guy, you're getting in here because this is the only kind of double bottom, or you have one single bottom that you know really happened, and you could have pulled the fucking trigger and put a stop in here and gone, yeah, you know what? Look at, they trapped, or they cleared out this inventory, came back. There was more demand back here because there's the trailing stop bots trying to protect this buy. So anytime the market goes up, you got to know there's money management tools coming in behind, and this is what's giving you the vicious smash, because the vacuum's formed by all the trailing money managers and the fact you're stepping into uncharted water. It's a double whammy in a way, because once it satisfies this hole and it leaves behind the vacuum, that's why the auction thing is so much a big deal, because when it comes down here, it's actually trapping that vacuum under the floor. Like, the more vacuum that is beneath this floor, the more insane the engulf, right? Just like here, there's a little vacuum here. This is kind of hard to trade, but see how it clears out this and almost gets that vacuum going above. So you're really trap trading. In other words, you should be long right now. You would have went long at the market anytime it's below this line, right? So this is the first stop hunt coming to Asia right now. So it's Wednesday. It looks like it's going to start tanking now a little bit maybe, but like I said, it's not tradable. If the spread's really wide, a lot of this stuff's just ridiculously untradeable, let's face it. In Asia, I mean, if you're trying to make 5 pips, I know it looks like a good setup, and they really are obvious in Asia. And after all the psychosis is gone, you can trade a little harder, but the problem is spread's usually shittier, so you're trading bigger, and the spread's against you a little bit. And the market's not moving that viciously. And then when it heats up, people say don't trade the news. But of course, you could trade just before the news, into the news. You can see it drift. Or you can say, okay, 5 minutes after the news, spreads tighten up. Just launch your limits in then. So you don't get any slippage. Maybe you wait 30 seconds. Or you just they're just out there, right? It's supposed to be first come, first serve, I think. You get a better fill if your limits have been out there longer than the other guys. Supposedly. But who cares? I mean, this is a 10 pip grid here. If you can pay 2 pips, then I guess you're going to, your cost, How many times are you going to ship something back and forth before you make a profit on it? You can't keep sending it out to have it tweaked, because by the time you get it back and pay all the shipping, you're just going to get killed, right? So, let me just blow through these charts. Like, I'm just saying, inside of this one single wick here, there's a lot of drama on the 15 that I suppose if, you traded this without knowing why it's going so berserk here, if you had a 3 pip stop, you wouldn't be able to survive some of these things in here. And it's very fast and quick and dirty, right? It's just bam, bam, and then this pullback. It's very dramatic inside that context. And here's the half hour. Looks a little bit more psychologically acceptable, because here it takes a while to get a top to come a bottom on the half hour, right? And then this is support. Here's your classic triangle forming that becomes just a place where the volatility dries up and it drifts, and it's time for the market to make a move. So here is your somebody was talking on the stream about the pattern. Yeah, this is like I think you call this a ascending or descending triangle. I'm not sure, but this is certainly the pivot in time. We can't deny that. I mean, especially what's cute is the last stop hunt before the big run up to clean out all of this pressure building up. It's just this constant, here's a lonely wick, right? So it's just, but practically speaking, you just did that now. You would be long right now, right? And you're looking for this hole to fill. And the scalpers that traded this top, the initial blister move, come back, and on the 15-minute, it's too long of a story. Half-hour chart is definitely more work, but I mean, you could just pull the trigger on the half hour here and just go, it's down, it's below here, let's buy one, fuck them. Or you have buy stops here, which I wouldn't recommend because you're going to get trapped in some of these, this is the seller's window. You really know people are going to be cashing out here, so maybe they trap here and then they trap deeper later on, right? So if there's a trap here, then there's a trap there, there's a trap, and it's kind of like, what's the final tally? And of course, it never goes lower here, so those people are kind of like, and they're kind of forced to buy. They probably have buy limits. Some people probably had buy limits here, and they're like, fuck it. And they only got like a 10 pip bad fill. And then some people said, you know what, I'm going to buy this structure. It's a bigger deal. It was filled at one point, came back. Of course, the market doesn't see that now. It's really about it's backfilling this. I mean, this is what I think the market sees. Like after we fill this, okay, this leaves this behind. Now you got to come and hunt that space down. But if you're the kind of person that buys, if it's down more than 10 pips, it has to be down more than 10 pips or you don't buy it, or more than 15. And if it's really on sale in 15 minutes here, which is down more than 10 pips in 15 minutes, a market bot needs to come in, or some guy on crack that you've hired to manage the trade desk. Yeah, I want to set up a prop firm. It'll be like one of those charity things. Yeah, if you're retarded, come on and pull the trigger. Go full retard. Here's the setup. We get back to here. If you see it back here, pull the fucking trigger. In fact, when an alarm, hooked to the electrodes, the clamps, if it's down like this, like it's in like an ooga, like a dive for a submarine thing, yes, you want to buy that. I mean, you don't want to have the thought that, well, this is going to, I guess the thought is for the bears that it's going to keep tanking. It's just going to keep ripping into this fresh water. We know the fresh water theory, like right now above this. But this left behind, is that the last stop hunt? Is this the mini auction? This is the 30-minute dollar CAD too. And is this going to be one of those classic, like when you look back, you're just like, well, it's classic kind of stair step, although it's kind of herky-jerky. This is the top, become a bottom here, which is a completely different size than the top that becomes a bottom here, right? So the problem is when people talk about patterns, you got to realize that fractally speaking, yes, this is the exact same situation, structurally a classic structure, but so is this one here. Right, this trap it's so small, right? I mean, it's like the idea that you have Elliott wave, you have a 3-wave, and you have a 5-wave. You have an ABC correction, which is the whole point of Elliott wave. It's a 5-3 count. It's like jazz, I suppose. It's not the linear cycle. It's not 4/4 time. So they're saying, well, it's offset. See, that's the trick is like, well, you can have it any way you want. They're two odd numbers. It's a 3 and a 5. Well, it makes 8 in the end. Full Elliott wave count, right? 8. There's ABC corrections. But wave 4 is the long congestion. That's why 80% of the Elliott wave is wave 4. But just speaking in terms of if you stretch the chart, I can make this look just like this fucking wave here. And yes, you can't really tell what time frame you're on unless you're looking at the spread. But it's how do you play this game, and what are you willing to adapt to the little nano fluctuations and take advantage of nano fluctuation? Are you looking for these big giant fucking crushing moves in the market where it's down 300 pips, it retraces 600 and engulfs the previous crush zone? I mean, is that the preferred thing? So have you missed it? Is it too late to buy? Is it too late to sell? I mean, that's the hard part. But if you have a small size trade plan, then you can have your, I'm trying to click on my tablet here. So I just wrote some sell limits here I'm testing. Kind of shitty, 8 pips to bank 8 pips. But I just want to get this selling the, if we get a spike up into Asia. So I'm also writing trailing buy limits. It looks like dollar CAD might take a little romp here. But I'm just layering tickets up here. Running trailing buy limits. I just think that's easy for me to get my brain around a bounce. Whether it's a dead cat or a live cat. Let's see, waiting for 9:30. The psychosis starts at 9:30. So yeah, the thing is, some of these moves, are so bombastic. And if you're on the wrong side of it or you don't get out, you could have been up on this trade earlier. Now you're actually 50% down. And would you add to this thing? Were you bullish? Were you saying, man, once we break out, pull back, I'm going to get in here. So is it okay to do, somebody says in some chat room maybe, oh, I'm getting in here, It's just totally logical, I'm just going to get in now. I know I missed this big fucking move, but it doesn't matter. We've got a hole here to fill, possibly. You got a hole here to fill. And what's the shape of this hole? Is this a harder kind of situation? This is a soft wedge deal. And what's it, what we expect here? Certainly we know this is going to be a high probability sell zone. So I'm kind of forcing it, making a wedge. But it's just lack of volatility. So we'll probably see it pop up and somebody's going to cash out. And these guys will tug back and do these little like Williams stop hunts here. So Bill Williams' system gets destroyed in Asia because you're literally getting in on just buying every fake breakout here on the wicks. You would have went short here, because it's a big triple support that supposedly got taken out. But did it get taken out? No, they just gobbled that up, and now they're going to go hunt down this shit up here. So this whole ebb and flow, and did you buy this one? Is it too late to buy it? I don't know. I'd put a buy limit on this pivot here, maybe. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but what I'm trying to say is, you see this top here? The guy that sold that top, I was trying to describe all these people in here, but let's just say there is one person that said, I'm just going to sell above here. Now, with a too tight a stop, they're not up on that trade, or they probably, if they did that trade, I would imagine that they probably had some kind of starter pack here, which they were up on earlier, but now they are underwater. So this is also, the bizarre fact is that this pivot here is the breakout point. It now becomes the kind of closing pivot, but it was actually the wick top into that first dip into the well of this uncharted shit up here. And here comes the confirmation people going, oh yeah, that's a real breakout. Fuck yeah. It ain't no fucking fake breakout. They're like, this is the fake breakout, dumb shit. I mean, it's pretty tough. You also, if you're a total bull from back here, when you could technically speaking, well, of course you could have drawn a trend. You could have drawn a trend line here, but in the really sharp trend line, the 1, 2, 3 period, the 0 down here, and then 1, 2 period trend line. Yeah, it's the first place you can really do it. Here's another one, but this has failed. Right, you could have drawn one here. But I don't think that matters as much. If you really want to see a trend line. What I think is most important is, notice this is the big support area that it dips into, and ain't nobody taking up the ball. In fact, this one failed. And I guess that's your first trend line on Wix. So maybe you do trend line on Wix, trend line on close. I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is, how fat are you getting in on these trades? Are you really religiously running a trailing buy stop here because that's a good algorithm? Run trailing buy stops. Pop. Okay, but they've trapped you. Like, you're barely up on that trade, and if you do the same thing on the other side, you're just going to get whipsawed. Right, they're just going to fucking annihilate you, right, from bullshit. So, just I'm putting some tickets. Running my trailing sell limits tonight. Please hold. Your call is very important to us. We know you didn't ask for this voicemail, but that's no consequence to our marketers. We only have your best interest at heart. We're going to escalate your problem to a higher. Stay in the line, sir. Don't you love these people? And they're like, how are you today? I'm like, do you really want to know? Are you sitting down, bitch? Because I got to tell you what. Call me one more time. We have probably a Mueller report on you, bitch. I'll take you to the highest authority. I'll take you to this goober that can't even speak in public. God, they hired these people? Come on, man. They're all sharing the brain. All these fuckers in politics are all sharing the same goddamn brain. They call each other on the phone, probably do a conference call. Yep. Except for my psycho brother Trump that's just like, fuck you. She needs fucking help. That bitch can't fucking even talk. Here we go. Okay, I'm looking for Phil City now. Big stop hunt, top of the hour. Brace yourself, people. Hit the deck. Okay, coming in hot. Looks like a 10 pip spike. It never disappoints. Markets and so Euro's pulling back now. Here comes the dollar CAD ripping north. Top of the hour in 5 minutes. So this is a classic. Look at this 5 minute window. Here comes the 5 minute traders. Let's see what's in their head. Okay, well, they got in down here, right? They're just moseying along. Here's the stampede window. I'm sure every robot can see this little ledge. That's one of those ICT order blocks there. We run this on a 5 minute. 15 minute too slow. Hope we don't play no 15-minute chart, son. Well, I ain't gonna live forever. Yeah, so that looks like the guy that bought this pullback, he drew his trusty trend line on the 5 minute chart, was below the unfair value. Deep discount. They're out. Here comes the sellers. And rip it back now. Okay. Don't make me pull the trigger. So, yeah, I mean, I really feel like the market is tempting me to trade it. So that's another problem is that when I first wrote all these scripts, I really started to destroy accounts because I wrote the most insane. And just because I had a stop in there, it wasn't making it like better because I had a 300 pip stop in there. I just went nuts. I put like 600 pip stops on shit. I was like, why is there even a stop on that? I mean, the account would blow up before the stop got hit, but I didn't care. I just thought, hey, it's like I'm putting a stop on it, doing what you're supposed to do. Fuck the math. Can't you see the pattern? Oh my God, look at this thing. See, it's all fragile. I'm waiting for 9:30 stop hunt. But anyways, this dollar CAD is a riot. Yeah, so that trade would be over for me. Like if I bought this on the trend line here, look at the true range of each bar was tiny just before we took off. This is like a perfect Asian setup. Look at this little micro stop hunt just before it takes off on the 5. That's just a classic. Baby stop hunt, low true range. Again, another bonus. 10 minutes of entry, then off to the races. Bye-bye. Just cleans out this wick. I'm sure on the 1 minute chart there's a little bit, maybe somebody scalped that window. But no, yeah, you're out. Fuck it. Here comes the 15-minute update. And the 15-minute sellers are going to sell above this wick. That's just how it rolls. What can you say? Nothing you can say about it. So this is a big window, right? Everybody's going to sell in there. And the buyers are going to come in here tonight if they can get it. I'd say the most critical window left now. The market's cleaned house. Anything from here back. And let's not forget this one still matters. It's uncharted. And all this pent up demand, a big deep window at the 50-yard line, then this is insane, right? We could still see that, and it is possible, because that's only the 15-minute chart, that we could see the market dip into this window. And here's where I'd load the wagon. I mean, that's the dumbest shit trade in the world. Same with this little notch here. Wow. Really? We're coming down there? I don't know. I would say the sell window for me now is Anything in here is a hell of a pocket, but I think we're just going to rip into that. And I'd have all my cells in there. And I'd scalp out of it. But look at this, a nice clean 10 pips on this one. Classic. All drifty. Big hole forming. Not a big one. Shallow. Actually, this is a cheaper window to get in. These little holes here. And the sellers are coming in like nuts on the top of this thing, right? We should see it bounce out of that range. Is that too tight a stop? You know, if you're selling into there and you say you're going to put a stop here, what if you put it too tight? How far away are your tickets in this window? Logically, you would just sell here and get bigger and bigger size, bigger and bigger size. Did you sell at the top of the hour? We just nailed the top of the hour at that 15. Did you sell at the top of the hour? Is that your trade plan? 1 hour, boom, you're out. See ya. Are your orders placed on the 1 hour? The nice thing about the wicks is it comports perfectly to the next time frame. Perfectly. There is no argument where that hole is. It's not you can't argue that. That's a fact of life, that these holes form and they need to be filled, damn it. And your job as a retail trader is to put your bear stops here so the market makers can run them. So you got to get in front of your terminal, everybody. And look at, you're out of that trade. Right at the top of the hour, boom, I'm out. Right? You bought down here, you held it for 1 hour. That's plenty of work. What the fuck? It closed beneath the floor. I don't think a robot could see this, but it did happen. Like, I don't know, robots like, if we close below here, of course, it would have bought here, I suppose. Or if you told it, if it goes below here, even buy more. Yeah, if it goes completely counter, yeah, you're just really range trading it. It's not fair to say that, of course, it is, when somebody thinks that ultimate trading would be more than one trade plan. But if you just had one trade plan, yeah, it would be, some of this would be a problem, right? Because you can just live off of, oh, I sold because it went up. Yeah, what happens when you sell really big here because it went up and it goes out and just blows up your account on that one ticket, right? So I'm not talking about every time you sell at the market. If it's up 10 pips, hopefully you got a 20 pip stop. If it's up 20, you can afford a 40 pip stop. So you can at least do the dumb shit trade, like you buy here, you buy here, you buy. And this is why it reverses here, is because everybody's dumping there. The 30-minute traders that buy this plunge and they're fucking wrong, you don't think they want to get out and save that? Not to mention, look at this window. They're going to stop hunt this guy and they're going to take him out. This guy's, the market when it came back to here, why did it go down? Because those guys got out. The pullback buyers got out. Really? You don't think there's another guy on the other side of your trade? You really think you're, just because you have that thought, and this is the argument that's so funny, that you don't want to be one of the popular people. Well, I guess in terms of everybody's bullish, yeah, you don't want to be those people. But thinking that the indicators, and of course the way people use them, it's through the settings here are set to 1, or reality, I should say. It's closing prices, for God's sakes, right? I mean, this isn't really something that you can argue, is it? I mean, this is obviously just closing prices with the range per session. So volatility over time and then price closing structure over time. So frame by frame, on the white line and range by range on the black. So the black could represent insane wicks where the closing price on the 15 is a smoother snapshot of reality. Right? It's a more, I'm having to buy the market here on the 15-minute chart. So the 15-minute trades are pretty obvious, although you got to babysit the market. So this is another problem. That, you know, the really kind of juicy setup, if you can see that pivot where, okay, you know, we're on the other side of the tracks. Looks like we're going that way. And if you also have your finger on the trigger, I just wrote these insane tight stops I'm testing out here. 5 pips. So I made the, it's pissing me off. I'm having to write every pip increment on my tablet. Yeah, getting used to typing on the tablet, but you can't even stop on the keyboard. It's so intangible kind of feeling. It's like pushing a string. So they're pulling back this CAD. The euro's going to slam up here about 20 pips. I'm trying to buy it here. Okay, so here comes a big rally to the 50-yard line. Also, you could think of it like, which would probably not be a bad thing at all, if you did trade round numbers, because how often do we get to the round number, right? And if you got a 20 pip stop at the round number, you can make the argument and hand that to somebody and say, you know what? If we get on the other side or get near the 50, just press this fucking button. Of course, now it has to be hopefully a directional thing, right? I don't know how you explain it to them. If it gets to the northern or the top 50-yard line, place your orders there. I don't know if that would work, honestly. But I guess what I'm saying is disconnected for people. I'm not really good at explaining, but it's like this. Can you babysit the market? Or can you see that, or would you even want to watch, you know, the market moving? Because it can be disturbing. Especially if you put your orders in here, you might want to pull them. If you had buy limits in this window down here, and somebody said, or on Zero Hedge they said, yep, the bad report for the news, and this thing took off down. And you're like, holy shit. And then you have a stop here, right? Just because you want to protect yourself. And boom. Or worse, you have buy stops here, sell stops here. You're trapped on both legs. You get whipsawed. You get crushed on both legs because you're trying to try to break out of this. So to offset that tragedy, and you may have that tragedy on one side of your equation. So the trick is to trade multiple techniques, 3 different techniques. You do have maybe a buy stop here, but you really want to think about being a little more snug and put the stops in here, right? You really want to take advantage of the smallest half-hour bar that you can find. Right? Isn't that the ultimate small range? And look at the little stop hunt here, which is, so it shears down here, cuts into all this shit, and boom. That's it, man. And this guy's already up on his trade, the guy that was willing to sell this. We got out at the top of the hour. But it doesn't mean that I wouldn't put buy limits here and here now. So if I'm not in, this is going to be the logical thing on the half hours to trail some buy limits like here. Nothing fancy. I would definitely buy more here and buy more all the way down. Isn't that the obvious choice? We're going to want to buy more when it's quiet because we can run tighter stops and risk the same amount of money, kind of. If we have a nice tight spread, better to pay more commissions in a tight spread so you can have a nice flat shipping cost. This is yet to be charted. Again, this is still stacking up as time marches forward. This has been cleaned out. Now it's all about let's go hunt these guys. And the trailing buy goobers are going to come in here, the confirmationists. The structure traders are going long now. They're saying this is a top become a bottom. I'm buying right here I'm buying here on a limit. And if we're down at the bottom of the hour, since the half hour chart, we're going to buy. So you could literally be like, okay, it's up. We're selling in the half hour. Why are you selling? It's up on the half hour. And then look at it's a winning trade. Maybe you buy back here. So can trading be that simple? Sure. If you had a 5 pip stop, you could have sold here and you could have made 10 pips. Just because it's up. But were you here for that? Or were you in your car? Or were you sleeping? When this went up, right, so you have to be honest with yourself. It looks like a good trade plan. Yeah, just sell. It's up. I sold. It's crazy. Here's the bottom become a top. Did you babysit that and go, well, that's the bottom become a top here. I know that one. So I'm looking for this. It's a psycho-induced Wednesday. Wicked Wednesday stop hunt. Or a trap hunt. They trapped the bulls a little bit here on the dollar CAD. Australian dollar. I didn't take a look to see if it went up. My prediction was going to go up, but probably went down. I don't know. No, it's still stalled out here. It's still a good buy. A little stop hunt here. This is a great place to get in. It's just waffling. I think we missed our buy limits here if we didn't run our trailing buy limits. You really got to keep track of this shit. And so I really should do it for real just to prove it that this is a 10 pip script in here, right? Well, so buying with a 10 pip stop here on limits and a big pack here, you could say that your entry down here, right, because you're running a 10 pip stop, or let's say we're running 15 pip stops. Every pip apart down here, no stop outs, no fills on these though, maybe if you run a bunch. Just imagine they're down there, right? But this one down here could have a higher take profit, and that's the one that's making the most amount of money now, but the ratio is still the same. I mean, the ratio here is still, my God, I got to turn off some of this computers. This computer is so bogged down. In background, Windows is doing some maintenance bullshit. Really? It's like the hard drive's going to blow up from Windows doing maintenance. Come on. So that's how you would do it. You have a 20 pip stop. It looks like this. You're buying the top of that rectangle on a limit. You got to stack them in, and you're going to risk $2 a ticket. Or if these are 10Ks, $20 a ticket. Now you could cash out right now. Or you're waiting for them to stop hunt this wedge. You want to see. No, let's move our stops to break even. Here's where the money management comes in. If you bought this whole stampeding here, you move all your stops to here, and you're up on every fucking ticket. Okay. So that's how that looks. Let me set the scale here. Now that Windows is done doing its, God, when a computer, I like the old days when the hard drive was moving, you You were using something. Now the hard drive's on a fucking mission out of its own fucking mind. So I'm looking for this to be quite a sweep of the stops here. Just blow that shit out. Like the daily's just going to go ripping. And the dollar's fucked. And here comes everything, right? The dollar's going to get beat to shit. Because they can't really raise interest rates. That's the fundamental argument. It's always funny you can throw that shit out there. People love that. Well, because, I guess you get a point there. Glad I tuned in. No, I think it really is these holes that are forming. This double bottom's undeniable. This could be a possible place that people are waiting to get out. But if they don't get it, the robots, right, the algos that run trailing stops, their stops are stacking up on all these tops. And we're just a few pips from that. And if we breach this and get some momentum crushing into those, and here comes the fueled by bear management. It's a bear management move. They're protecting their profits to the downside. They want it to keep tanking. They think this is the place to sell. They're short. They put their stops in here. All the trend traders that are late to the downside must be doing that. Or let's just say the people that think like that are doing that. It's a combination fueled by everybody's dumb fuck maneuver, I suppose. Right, some guys got, we're short here, it's going down, and we were recommended by our broker to put in this safety stops. And, of course, this fuels the fucking move, right? Well, we said, we're going to be conservative. We want to give it some room, so we put our stop right there. There's some dumbass trailing stop bot did it. Or maybe it's just this fact that this is an older zone than this one. And once we take that out, this has already been tagged and bagged, this one. And this hole's been filled. This is the lack of volatility. Still lack of volatility. Subtle stop hunt. I think we're going to punch up here. Maybe by Friday we can make it there, which isn't too hard to imagine. Maybe one last price pulse crush here into the end of the week. It is Wednesday. It's Wicked Wednesday stop hunt on the daily. If you're buying trailing limits on the dailies in a 10-pip window, you're a fucking genius. Stop hunt Wednesday. Or Wick Wednesday, I should say. Another wick crusher down here. Inverted hammer. All right. What's the winning trade here as far as the look back into the nooks and crannies? I'm gonna say it's gonna be this. Was the best entry window so far. Painfully obvious. Plus, you just bought because it's down hard. You bought with a wide stop. How did the volatility breakout players do on this New Zealand? So, got an inside bar there. In a small bar? Wow, that's a unique setup. So that would be another thing you just stack on that fucking trade. You stack it. I ain't looking back at no 14 ATR bullshit. That's an inside bar, is it? Not. Nearly an inside bar, which means even less volatility. So if you bracketed that with a 20 pip stop, no fill on the north side, don't forget, and an obvious crush into that little mini vac, that 2-day vac, whoosh. And of course, you really want to load up when they hunt that guy's stop, the bulls, who are now drawing their trend line. Here they come. Here come the swing traders. Here's the view of the line chart double bottom on the weekly. So, buying at the market, buying on limits, building a position, scaling in, scaling out. It's just a way to soften the crush. Look at oil ranging. So, big crush here. Here is the floor to get above. We're ranging underneath. Look how vicious. Look at that entrance at 57 even. Say what you will, it's a nice round number. 57 even on crude. You are up $2 on that trade simply by buying new lows. I know it's sick, but there's no confirmation needed. They will fill your orders. You don't need to have any special rules for this. You know, they don't always fill those. I don't know if you wanted to leave your buy limit sitting here this long, right? So maybe you come up with a rule that your buy limit only lasts like for about, you could keep canceling, replacing, but maybe it only lasts this long, right? Because if you have a trailing buy limit in here, that's the pocket. But if it's too long, see if it's too far away, what I think the problem there is, if you just follow applying rules like you're going to buy this whole, is that this stuff here creates so much momentum that it was just bone crushing, right? Just bone crushing. This was the dead cat bounce and then right to the floor, like, goodbye. Didn't even make it back. Still hasn't made it back to here on crude. Just obliteration. Then didn't even make it to the 57 here. But just look at this. The guy that's buying because it's down $3. He's like, dude, it's down $3. Are you kidding me? Here comes the guys that just want the dead cat bounce. Here comes the trend traders, right? Lower swing. They got their trend lines in. They're like, yeah. Here's your top bottom traders, kind of sloppy there on the cut through a little bit. 4-hour chart. Then the last trap, new highs, and then, got to come after this. People are buying, people are selling. Do they care about the trend? I don't think. I don't think a range trader would. I don't think you can, because this is a total counter trend move here. And you could say that we are ranging at an angle. It's kind of a drifty uptrend. Really, how do you describe this shit, to be honest? I mean, this is a heavy-duty collapse in 1 week. But yeah, these entries, and of course the aggressive guy bought here and he's up. He bought this window. And here's another reason why it's a good buy is because it has that sloping wick. If I zoom out, it's this, just like this wedge here, right? When it cuts in, it's a big deal. Here it cuts into these two. So it makes it's a quick punch. I'm looking for another instance of that. Of course, this was the big kahuna rip, right? So why did it come ripping back so hard from there? Because there were a lot of people buying that. But then just to blow people's minds and just freak them out, they bid it down to here. There's so many people on that train going, oh no, man. And we have seen it close this gap of insanity just couldn't make it. And then, you're not always going to see it up. Also, just because structure exists doesn't mean that it's always happening, right? So, like, you can't overshoot the runway. When it becomes super unstable, it's going to whipsaw both ways, right? So that's the problem. Is that even if you were to get that trade right, if you don't get out at some point, it could just come all the way back and just be like, wow, you know. And there has to be people and systems running trailing stops, I got to believe. You know? Because how can you explain the backlash here, especially when it starts to drift and it's like, oh boy. Here's an example of big run-up, drift sideways, but guess what? Still more, this just becomes accumulation. No, it's just never going to do this thing. Does it here, though. And so people are like, well, how do you know this big thing's coming? I guess you don't, because if you're in really big, this is the same kind of equity change that this move is in a third of the position. So if you're in a third of the position on this sell, if you sell up here, these $3 are different, right? Then you bought here and it went up here and you're in twice the size or 5 times the size. So the size of the trade is really going to matter. Here's bottom of the hour, so I'm expecting a psycho rally here. I want to take a look at stocks and everything too. So that was the big beatdown. I do think it's like a midweek auction deal. Every currency gets just hammered. So this is not tradable from a breakout standpoint. So somebody's asking about the end of the candle there. So now you're just left with this where you can't trade breakout strategies. No, it's just they blew up that strategy. The market fucked up that strategy. That was only available on these small 20 pip bars. I guess you could call it the 20 pip bar breakout strategy. But that would be currency dependent because it's not always going to work, right? Here's the daily guppy. I'm going to put the same template on that. Try to replicate the... okay. So the problem here is this thing can move like 300 pips. The wick tails can be like 300 pips. I wish there was a way to fix that scale faster, but okay, I got to refresh to pick up the indicators. So how about this? Just keeps crushing down. And could you get on the short train by hunting the bear stops? Sure. And you could have actually, for a few pips here, you could have made, if you can see, with a tight stop buying new lows, you would have made some money here on a dead cat bounce. I guess it's hard to see. At first, it's hard to see. So as it comes walking down this tremendous so-called downtrend, it's got these bizarre opportunities where you're actually buying this fake breakout to go lower. Even this can be said to have finally made money buying that new low. Buying this one crushed you. But buying this new low, and you would buy heavier here. In other words, that those stops would get the heavy tickets would get taken out first. I mean, the tighter stops or heavier tickets. But look at this. It's like 8-to-1 ratios, and you're going to sell the top of that. So you know you're going to trade a wick to wick on that. Here you're going to take your wider stops with smaller positions, can handle this much heat. And, I guess you could have said, well, I'll just get out here. Fuck it. Didn't, well, you made money. You were up a little bit today. So if you bought that new low into here, at some point during that, you were up, right? But then it was trapping the 4-hour breakout bots. We're getting trapped here in this 10 pip window. So it takes this market, there's 30 pip, 25 pip 4-hour windows here that are pretty good trades, from a breakout standpoint. Here, just before you go through the floor, it gets very quiet. The only slight, also if you're selling at the market with tight stops, when it goes slightly up, every time the market moves a little bit, you start to adjust your stops tighter. When the market heats up, you got to go wider. And you also have to widen your limits. To widen all your stuff. But then you maybe have to turn down the size, so you're risking the same dollar amount. So this is hard to adjust because you're really asking to land a plane on a planet that changes its atmosphere from like Mars to the moon to the Earth, and it's just random. Well, I guess it is seasonal. Asia's quiet and kind of obvious, whereas when the wheels are coming off, people are like, what the fuck's going on? Is it too late to get in? So I'd like to get in Asia because you can run the tighter stop and you can get in bigger. The slight cost and more spread. But the spreads are tightening. Here comes the bottom of the hour. So I think we're off to the races now. From here until London, retracement city here, I think the Australian dollar is going to clean house on this wedge on the daily. So I guess this is how to trade the daily chart. So I wouldn't do no-nonsense Forex. I'd also go as far to say that this is one of those pennants, flags, wedges, channels, what have you. I'll take a leaping luck and say that's a double bottom, a leap of faith in structural analysis. I mean, like the guy that's I'm the chief structural strategist at WeTradeLikeShit.com. All we do is make fun of other people. Don't forget to get one of our Robinacci mugs or our Cuban sandwich mugs. Yeah, we need some outrageous T-shirts. This rack is Robinacci certified, for the girls. But yeah, this looks like a clean setup here. Possible bone-crushing short squeeze. Here, kind of a different setup, but still kind of looks like a retrace. All the way back to the starting gate. See how that happened? In the short time I've been babbling, all the way back to the starting gate to hunt another goober. Who could see that coming? Oh boy, I can't believe it. So if you're a bull, you're already up on that trade. Imagine there's no spread. But look at that. From a bid side. Now I could just tumble down. What if it left too much real estate behind to be trashed? And look at the hour. What if you sold at the top of the hour? just because it's the top of the hour. What kind of trade plan is that? Are you out of your fucking mind, son? That's what I think's so funny. All these indicators all dialed in. I got my radar up. Scanner says go long. I tuned into the Trader's Way guide just for kicks. I guess people are thumbs downing him because he said, fuck, I haven't even started the stream. I'm getting thumbs down. Yeah, dude, we're bracing. I didn't want to give you a thumbs down. It's just me flinching at the sound of your voice. Pike speaks. Well, I'll tell you, you think it's hard to be in the Federation now. Pre-Borg. And of course the bears cashed out there. You can see they're no fools. They're like, we ain't get trapped in that sell-off. Fuck that. Who's standing in front of that abyss? So who's buying into that? It's funny how this game goes on and on. Looks like another breakout trader's dream here on the 5-minute. Slightly up on the trade. He's on the 9th hole, going for birdie. Yeah, it's kind of funny. They should have somebody narrating Forex. Well, looks like the 50-minute traders had the ball. Ooh, did you see that, Roger? He got slammed on that 1-hour trade. Trading the old confirmation. Oof, that's going to leave a mark. You bet, Dennis. Look at his account now. Oof. I heard he's using that jigsaw. Some kind of jigsaw thing. I heard it was Robinacci. No, I heard he was fucking Robinacci. Oh, that's right. Fuck was I thinking? Damn, that is scandalous. That's worse than using the Dirty Dozen to trade with. You don't mean to tell me he's making money from the Dirty Dozen? You can go to hell doing that. Ain't nobody supposed to be able to make money from them. Them old-fashioned beat-up math equations. No, we don't stand for that kind of indicator shit around here, son. I'll tell you something. How about redneckforex.com? Anybody want to... Did you ever see the Forex boot camp? Holy shit, man. They shaved my head just to press the mouse button. You signed up for boot camp. Didn't you read the fine print, son? You got to have half a brain. You're a Forex trader. We reserve the right to put battery cables on your nuts to make sure you follow your trade plan. Yes, sir. I will follow trade. Can you take your platform together blindfolded, son? Full Metal Forex. Come on, anybody in? Can you imagine? Every cliche. What's the one? Honey Bunny trades Forex. Pulp Forex. Do you think that Pulp Fiction guy, if I have Pulp Forex, you think that people are going to, they'll be like, you're just too close, man. Sorry, I'm going to sue you. They're taking down my YouTube channel. So somebody, I was reading the comments where I got a bunch of views on this RSI thing because I put so much in the title. And I used the copy the guy's title. So some guy says, all these toxic people showing up here. And I thought, well, it's like the Fight Club, It's like kind of like, let me see your bullshit idea. Okay. And we can all see the flaw in every trading system, let's hope, right? If you keep buying at the market because it's going down, of course, right? That's obvious. But if you're trading with 1,000 pip stop, it makes complete sense. And your time horizon's 3 months. So at what point do you say, well, you don't want to do that giant swing trade? Well, no, this is why you'd have to have a mechanical trading system that says if we're in a 22 pip range, I have a trade plan for that. If we were stalled out and going sideways, I have a cure. Or I have something I can do about it. Anyways, that's the thought. We don't know if it'll work. And if you're trying to build the account, you're going to go with, if you're going to work hard, you are going to trade the breakout and you're going to trade the limit. You can trade the market order. I suppose you could do the 1% risk of your account and all that. I'm just not sure you're maxing it out. I don't think there's a limit, really, how much money you can make. And if you just, at the beginning of the week, just placed orders on the weekly wicks, and like, I can't believe that fucking did not stop me out of that. Like, I mean, it's almost disbelief. You're like, really? They took it right to the edge there and they didn't stop me out? It's crazy. How in the fuck is that possible? But I think that's the one thing that really is sad about the no-nonsense Forex guy. He doesn't say, you could just trade supply and demand if you want. Or dare I say support and resistance. One of the dirty dozen. Yeah, you could just trade support and resistance. So, isn't that the truth, though? That you can just do really obvious trade plans that they seem cliche, and then the time it doesn't work out, you would remember that loss bigger than any other loss. Because it's the one time you lost on that, so you'd really, and if you were trading big on that, because you started to have that, which I can't believe the Forex no-nonsense guy falls for this idea that hasn't lost yet. Really? Gee, can I bet against the next trade on that kind of overconfidence? Hasn't lost yet. Oh, God, this is great. Hasn't lost yet. Let's get right in there. Let's trade the shit out of it now. I thought you'd never ask. So that is the thing. Just like the guy that said, well, wouldn't you just take the other side and go short after going long? Yeah, if you really wanted to work like a fucking dog, yeah, I guess you sure could. You'd be like, fucking A, dude. Let's try this both directions. But if you lost on one of those, a little bit, like, you go, damn, fuck, this is like, it's ruining my winning streak, so to speak. If it's ruining your winning streak, then are you going to abandon it, right? And of course, this is all dependent on how long you're going to be in the market and which market and how vicious is that market currently. When crude oil was tanking like a horse, some people were like, I don't even have a fucking trade plan for that. Like, the breakout traders wouldn't even be involved in a situation like that. So I would say the only filter I would use is, what is the range of the last day or the last hour? I think the last 5 minutes isn't fair. I think you have to look for the structures on the 5 minute to really help you not get beat to hell on that. So that would matter. Then, how many things can you pay attention to, look at? It's pretty tough. Pound New Zealand. Anybody trading this thing? So I talked about this entry yesterday. This dumb shit entry here. Overshot the runway. Never made it to this top. Never made it to this last known top. So yeah, there's a lot of, and of course, would you jump on this with a really big amount of money there? You're already out, maybe. You're holding it. Did you sell this obvious window up here? I don't think a lot of people put pendings up there, even though that's an obvious trade. It happens all the time. You could have stepped in front of this thing like a real trooper and sold everything from this top in this whole window and put your biggest tickets at the top and even bigger tickets up here that never filled. 4-hour wick trading. You're really getting in where people are just absolutely euphorically bullish. I mean, they're having that time of their lives. So you are big. You can really fuck up the party. See this top here and this top. That's why that was such a hard move. The fact that Pike can't see this, it just baffles me. Look at the reaction on that top. The 4-hour top there. God, that's a big deal. Look at the trap, like the trap up into that. Actually, when it took out this wick, we zoom in like this. It got some fuel from this. Pretty decent. Here's where a lot of people cash out into this structure. Eventually, now they're buying it. Okay, now we're buying the Eurodollar again. We're going to load up on the Eurodollar. I wrote these super tight stops. I got to get to them in time, though. Another thing, if you're babysitting the 15-minute chart, which I'm doing tonight, you can run these ridiculously tight stops, but you got to sit there and fucking babysit this shit. So, this is what my 15-minute chart looks like right now. So I'm buying at the market here. I got a 15-minute chart. It has the exact same setup. It looks like we're about to punch through. We're currently in the process of breaking the trend line on the Australian dollar, breaking out of that wedge too. It's also a wedge. It's a double bottom wedge. Yeah, these patterns really do exist. Here's just a good old-fashioned pullback. I think people are gonna cash out here. I'm not in this one, but if I was, I'd be buying at the end of the day. I'd be buying at the end of the day on that. So here's another obvious entry. Had you put your buy limits here on the 4-hour chart, you took some heat, but no fill. Unfortunately, if you're trying to buy this, you couldn't get that price today. I say the eager buyers are buying from here all the way down. It'd be pretty much a contrarian, or pretty much you're gonna step out in front there. What else? We got the dollar index. A lot of people selling that right now, I suppose. After we stop hunted this area, where we came back and filled this to the old backfill. But now we filled this. I think the party's over for the moment. Let's see what else we got. Oh shit, drawing mode. What did I say, dollar yen? Dollar yen is in its own world. Dollar yen's just crazy. But here's a breakout, pull back to the trend line argument. This would be something that would be cleaned out quickly. This could still go up. I don't think it's related to the the other pairs necessarily. I'd buy a bounce off of that. I'd also buy all the way down into this thing. That looks like a good trade too. I guess it all looks good at some point. What else? Oh, here's Boeing. Shit. I want to take a look at Boeing airplanes. Oof. Took out the floor there. Didn't like it. No, sir, didn't like it. Just because the planes are flying ain't helping that stock none. Another bad fundamental trade I've done today. No, I didn't do that trade. But look at the weekly. That's the weekly. Boy, stocks look they're just going to get hammered. Buy window for the Dow. We dipped into the window here, so we were in the buyer's lounge. They're auctioning that off this week. See if anybody bites. Anybody want to bite? So that could keep tanking. That's the weekly. I would go to the 4 hour. So here is that first moment of breach. But I think what fuels this, with the this being the biggest deal, and this is the confirmation traders entry, breakout pullback to the breakout point, collapse. It's also this window here. Big deal, big, hard window. And now it would just, sellers are selling that dead cat bounce right now in the half hour, so they sell there. I would stay short, looking for cash out here. The old Euro CAD. So it looks like the CAD's in trouble across the boards because this looks like a buy. Got a double bottom here. This was your entry on this dip below the 2-day floor. Was on sale. Then, wouldn't you know it, they trapped the breakout traders that trade really big wicks, big bar breakouts. They trapped them there. People that buy pullbacks to the last known bottom are up. Let's see what else we got. Oh, the old CAD yen. Good Lord. What a buying opportunity that was. So all the scalpers are up on that. Anybody that stepped in front and bought anything below here. Everybody's a winner, given a 50 pip stop. And that looks like they're going after these guys. Still a chance to put your buy limits down here for maybe still buying new lows down here, depending what happens. Wednesday typically is wild. They did take out the low from 2 weeks ago here on this one. Look at this. The double bottom from 2 weeks ago. We can't put beneath that. That's just an amazing deep discount. It doesn't get any cheaper than that, honestly. And I think the people are going to start exiting on this one. Here's all that matters now. So we always take the last known price and look back. That's how I look at it. I'm trying to see all the price voids the market can see now and how deep they go back. And this one is pretty jumbo. I would say this window here is a big deal. And to be fair, this one matters too. Maybe you're going to take this down to here so you could define this area separately. So that's how you'd stack it in if you're to take care of each of those things. Here is that wedge. So we know we have to have a ton of orders because this is the ultimate target for the bulls. So you could sell like crazy here for a pullback into, anything you sell in here, you have to get out by here because this is where the confirmation breakout guys are going to come in and take it back up in. So you can still do a rinse and repeat. There's still a chance to get on the train. Even for a sell scalp, this is the 4-hour chart, it's going to be better to sell up here for a move back to here, but there are going to be little itty-bitty moves in there. Just don't forget you're standing in front of this giant hole. Up here is going to be a crazy session, but if you are going to sell there, the easiest question to answer is, in the last 4 hours, what's happened? And if not much, I would go either direction out of this, right? Because we're either going to tumble out of that or we're going to go gushing up. If you had to trade that currency, which I don't know, it's a lot to pay attention to. Even these 4-hour charts are just mind-boggling. I mean, so many zigzags. How's our trusty Bitcoin doing? Well, in the seller's window, I must say it's 8,600. Who's not selling this? So we're definitely in trap territory there on the monthly. Nobody wants to be a buyer here, I hope. Everything up here is just insane cash out. Because there is somebody that bought this rally, probably no nonsense. He bought here and he's like, holy shit, I'm finally at break even on that trade. Got confirmation, we're just going up. Because my trend system said it too. You remember that trend system I built? Spent a lot of time on it. Yeah, it worked like this. If it was going up, it bought on pullbacks, but I wouldn't buy here. What, you think I'm stupid? Fuck no, wait till it go up, bought right there. Get confirmation. It's going my way. All the stars are aligned. We didn't put no stop on that because it's Bitcoin, We're just counting on a retest here. We're going to get out. We went greedy. We're going to get out a double top up here. He's not greedy one bit. Jeez, people, come on. Look at this Litecoin screaming like a rape date. Wow. But there's going to be sellers galore up here. All this shit. It's too much to look at. Big buying opportunity on the S&P 500 here. Look at that pullback. Wow. Just annihilating that thing. Obliteration. Good Lord. I like it from a buying standpoint. They just tagged this lonely wick. They just tagged it. A lot of buyers there. People cashing out. Plus, you can fade the goobers. They say it's in a downtrend. It's flashing blue. Damn it, Luke. It's flashing blue. But you would only sell a rally in the blue. To be fair, the trend traders sell here in the blue cloud. They sell there. They buy in the green cloud. Yeah, top become bottom. But this is the problem. Just dip in the well. Bye-bye. Money management algos are stacking up the cover stops. Clean them out. Next problem. How about the guy that cleverly put a buy limit here? And eventually he was up on that trade at some point this week. See the trade inside the trade. And basically that's what I'm looking at. Of course, the dynamics of this are pretty brutal. God, what a brutal. Vicious. This was the leader. Look at the demise of this puppy. Here was the trend traders coming into the cloud. They sold big. Every time it's up big, they sell big. That's how they make all that money. They can afford to sell big. Comes right back to that. Wow. Now they're cashing out. Here comes the scalpers. Is this it? Is this the trend line to break now? I don't know. It's going to be what China does, you know. China's not going to make no more phones. That'll hurt my feelings. Androids are a menace to society, people. So that's that. I don't know what else to say. Just my meandering, incomplete thoughts. Let's see the Hang Seng come back to life. No, they're still beating the shit out of it. My buy is right down here on this line. We still haven't got my entry. Driving that thing down through the floor. Gotta take these indicators off. I can't see anything. Can't see the highs and lows. Look at this house cleaning. See, here's where it overshoots the structure. It's coming down so hard, it didn't even bounce off this top, I don't think. Pretty harsh. The monthly. Wow, look at that thing. I guess this was too much for it. That low. Just couldn't poke its little head above water. Germans are the most bullish looking though. Man, they just can't hold that thing back. Let me get rid of my the grids don't fit on this. I just want to see if we're going to so maybe it makes it back to here and does a little stop hunting, but boy, this thing looks just ready to go nuts on that trend line. So it looks. Looks like a buy there. But, you know, maybe it's not going to give you a chance. That's the monthly. On the weekly, I think a lot of people are going to buy here. Well, they probably already bought a little bit there. It's right in the window. Buy all the way down, I suppose. If you're real bullish, you know. What else? I think I got the... is Tesla still tanking? Oh, yeah. Tesla's a deep discount buy here. I'd buy some down here. What is it? Cars running people over? What's going on? Cars be blowing up again. He got to blow up some cars. Some kind of battery. Kind of crazy battery. Smart battery got dumb. This drug company. How about toilet paper? Still people. Oh, even everything's getting hit here. Oh, Mexican pesos riding my trend line. It's kind of scary, though. Like it's getting fragile. Yeah. These are the immigrants trying to get across the border, though, see? If you look closely at that. Wow. This is USD monthly. It looks like the dollar is going to lose to the, what is this, the Turkish lira? Or some shit, I don't even know. That's the Turkish lira. Didn't know it was a pair. Oof. This is a nice sell up here on that wick. I think I get the fuck out. Looks like it's going to keep stampeding north. Silver's getting pummeled. It's going down the tubes. This looks like Euro Swiss is on the 4 hour. Looks like a buy, like we're trapped below here. Looking for a rally. Looks like we popped earlier here. This looks like it's headed for a retracement. It's trapped underneath the floor here. We kind of scalped out already, but the thing is, can we drift north tonight? I guess that's the question. Anyways, good luck with that. I don't know what else to say. We're just waiting.